Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello and welcome to the program on a lovely autumnal day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is September 21st. It is Friday. Did I say that already? I don't know. I've got two really, just a second. I've got two really fascinating people for you to meet in just a second. But this is so bizarre because these are two guys who, through music, inspire people. And it just so happened that last night I was at an event where the same lesson got drilled into my thick skull. I saw among many performers a man, a Haitian American from South Florida, who had a violin put in his hand at the age of 5 and who does with that violin things you cannot imagine. He's performed with Lady Gaga and others, and he talked about how that violin, that music, when he was a 5-year-old, changed his life. And I'm telling you, music, the power of music is unbelievable. The two gentlemen who are going to join me now, who happily will be here in Pittsburgh in a week's time, performing at the August Wilson Center, know more than I'll ever know about the power of music. Together, they make up a hip-hop group called Four Wheel City. And Four Wheel City has a Welcome to Reality tour, Pittsburgh being one of the lucky cities on it. And joining us now, Jess? Oh, that's okay. Let's get Ricardo in. Ricardo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, this is Ricardo Velasquez. And soon to be joined...
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear us?
I'm sorry about that.
Are you hearing me now, Ricardo?
I am.
Thank you. Good.
Loud and clear.
All right. Good. And Norton, your partner, Norris Namel, will be calling in just a second. Together you make up, I'm telling you, Four Wheel City. Give us, until we get the call from Norris, can you start us off with the backstory, which is pretty astonishing, how out of tragedy comes this collaboration that results in inspiration for so many people. Tell us about where you were, who you were, and what event happened that changed your life.
Well, before I got injury, I was attending high school, and I was walking home from school one day, and then it was a shootout around my neighborhood, and I got hit with a stray bullet in my back that left me partially paralyzed from the waist down. And when that event happened, I really thought that my life was over, and it was just it was a bad experience. It was like a nightmare. At the time, I didn't know what to do. Luckily for me, I always had the love for music. I used to DJ a lot, me and my friends. So then I went to rehab, and like I said, I didn't know what to do myself. When I came back home after being in rehab for like 3 months, I noticed that I had a lot of time in my hands now, and I didn't know what to do with that time. So I started doing music for fun, just trying to find something to do really in the house. So I started producing. I built up my own studio little by little. And then I was doing music when before I met Norris. I was already doing the music. I was a producer doing the beats in the house. And one day I just happened to go outside, and I met a lady in front of my building. And I was on my way to go get some Domino's pizza that I ordered for my son because it was my son's birthday. So she said, excuse me, can I speak to you for a minute? I said, yes, hold on. When I come back, you can tell me whatever you need to tell me. And then the lady approached me, and I was Namel Norris. I didn't know that was his mom at the time. I didn't even know of Namel being hurt. And she said, excuse me, how long you been in a wheelchair? And I told her I've been in the chair for like 3 years now. And then she asked me, would you mind me and my son? He just got hurt like about 6 months ago. I said, of course not. Just give him my number. And then I guess that same, the next day he called me, and we were just talking about regular stuff. He would ask me questions about how you do this, how you do that, how you tie your shoelace, how you do certain things, because he didn't know anybody that was in the chair at the time. And then one day he asked me if he could come over to my house. I said, of course, come up. So he came with his friend. So when he walked in, doing the music, he noticed that I had a studio in my living room. He just happened to live in the next building across my building on the same floor, on the 14th floor. And I used to see his window from my window. So when he came up here and he saw me doing the music, he said, I rap. I said, really?
Norris has... Ricardo?
Yeah, I rap. But at the time, he couldn't... I asked him to rap something for me. He said he couldn't do it because he had just came out the hospital where he was very weak. And that's the way everything started. And he started coming up here. Like, we were just trying to find something to do with it. And then he would come. I would have the instrumental done for him, and he would come and write. And that's the way the whole thing started. And before we knew, we had like a whole bunch of songs done up already. And we said, hey, what are we going to do with this song? They sound real good. We should put it out there. So that's the way.
That's how it happened. I think Norris has joined us. Norris, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi. Can you both hear each other okay?
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you. This is Norris Namel, the other half of Four Wheel City. We had asked Ricardo to explain how you two got together. So it was your mother that asked Ricardo if he would be your friend, essentially, I guess. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Because, I guess she felt like I was in need of a friend at the time that was in the same situation.
Yeah.
As me.
How were you? How did you end up in the chair, as you two say? Norris?
Hello?
Yes, Norris. How did you end up in the wheelchair?
Oh, I was accidentally shot by my cousin when I was 17.
So,
by mistake, playing with a gun. He was playing around with a gun.
So both of you were accidentally shot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, mistakenly.
You know, I can't imagine getting my head around something like that, coming to terms with that, not being angry and bitter. I can't imagine that. So, is that why you can reach out so much to other people who are in this situation? Because you know exactly where they're at.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I would say when we do speak to young people, I feel like I really feel connected to them because we coming from a place when it happened to us, we were like around their ages and dealing with a lot of the same things they're dealing with at the time, and so we can have like firsthand experience and telling them what it is out there, and also when they hear us speak, because sometimes when young people hear older people speak, they just think like, well, we're trying to talk down to them, and for us being that we were their age when this happened to us, it's almost like in a way, in a sense, we I don't want to say like we stuck there, but I know for me and Rick, we talk about it all the time. It's almost like our life is started again from there, but when we speak to them, it's almost like we are them, because when it happened to us, we both were in high school. We both was like 17, 16 teenagers, and so it's like we're them. You know what I mean? Like they're actually looking at themselves when they see us.
So I mean, you've got credibility.
Yeah.
You've got credibility.
Yeah.
So your audience, though, the people you're trying to reach are not just other people who you're trying to keep these kids from ending up in a wheelchair. You're trying to get a handle on the violence. You're trying to keep them in school. But you also talk to other people who are disabled. You got these two separate audiences, really. Is that right?
Yeah, you want to touch on that, Rick? Because we got
No, you go explain that better than
we have the two audiences. It's funny how that came about as well, because when we first started, we never really set out to go about it that way with Four City. It was originally just to deal with people that was in our situation, and we didn't realize at the onset of what we was doing that we had the potential to, speak to young people as well.
Right.
So it's a good thing, because it's all organic and it relates to our lives. Like we don't try to do anything that stretches outside our boundaries in terms of what we've been through and what we know. And for us, being in wheelchairs, that's something that we've been through and we know. So that's something, like, we started here in New York City, like going to Mount Sinai and doing peer mentoring and performing for the patients there, and showing them that, because when you get injured, you feel like your life is over, and you feel like maybe you can't do anything no more. I know I went through that. Rick went through that as well. We talk about it all the time. So that's something that we really feel connected to. So that's why we do that. And then, like, when we just was talking about with the young people, we were actually there. So we know that and we feel that. It's just not something that we try to say. It's not like a gimmick, It's something that we understand and feel. So that's why when we do it for both of those populations or markets or whatever, it's something real to us. It's not something we just going out there to get a name. It's something we really feel and been through. So we can give. It's like giving back and sharing our experiences, really.
I think it's just amazing what you guys have done. So you've got the Four Wheel City, great name, Welcome to Reality Tour coming here, to Pittsburgh next Thursday. You'll be performing at the August Wilson Center. And I want to let people know, this is a free concert. It's sponsored by the University of Pittsburgh Office of Health Sciences, Diversity, and School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences, which is a mouthful. They're covering the cost so that anybody can come. And if someone comes to your performance at 7 next Thursday at the August Wilson Center, what is it they can expect?
Well, I mean, simple way to put it is they can expect to get our core values of what we do. They can expect to be inspired, educated, advocated for, and entertained. That's what we do. That's what the four represent. We inspire, educate, advocate, and entertain. And they can expect to get that from us, and to see two guys from New York with some good rap music against hip-hop, combined with a amazing inspirational story about our lives and something different,
It sounds absolutely wonderful. I just want to help get the word out that you two are coming with this message, with your music. I suppose your music will also be available so that people can buy some of your CDs?
Yeah, we have some CDs and DVDs. The CD we have will be one of our latest mixtape albums that will have a majority of the songs we're going to perform, and then we have another like a fundraiser DVD and CD for the Welcome to Reality tour. That's the theme song with that features Snoop Dogg on the remix. call it the G Mix, and we have that as
Cool.
well. And a bunch of flyers and stuff. Be taking pictures and signing autographs and be there to answer questions as well.
You know, it just struck me, and this might be the stupidest thing I've ever said, but in a weird way, this terrible thing that happened to both of you, this terrible, out of nowhere, your lives changed. You have made of your lives something that, who knows if you had never been shot, would your life in some ways be as rich as it might be now? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think mine would have. I was part of the reason why I ended up like this because my cousin and I, a lot of my friends and the environment we was growing up in the Bronx and the neighborhood was pretty bad. So we were heading down the wrong path. So I really, in my heart, feel like I probably would have been either dead or in jail or something. Just dealing with the repercussions and stuff with the path I was going down. I know Rick probably can tell you how he feels about it as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know where I'll be today. I just feel like it's destiny.
Yeah.
It's destiny for us to be together, for us to be out here performing and then doing the type of music that we're doing now. I just think it's a blessing. Somebody's going to learn something from what happened to us. So hopefully the next time somebody's out there playing with a gun and shooting at somebody, you might not get your intended target. You might get somebody that ain't had nothing to do with the problem, like me, for instance. I was just walking home. So hopefully somebody's going to learn something.
Yeah. God knows. Hopefully someone will learn something. You two are just amazing. I mean, you're inspiring just to listen to now, just to read about. Does your mother, Norris, ever think, I can't believe that this one request, hey, would you talk to my son, would lead to this?
Well, you can see that's the thing about it too. My mother, she's not even here now. She passed away.
I'm sorry.
In 2007, actually, from breast cancer.
I'm sorry.
And, before she passed away, that's when we first started to pick up steam for what we was doing, and she got to see the buddings of it when we had a few interviews and started traveling and do stuff, and in my heart I feel like we just did a song called like Angels in the City. Mm-hmm. About people that believed in stuff we've been doing, and so to us we feel like when she was here that she came and she served the purpose and to bring us together. So I feel like in a strange way, like you said, I feel like I think she she's seen something. Because me and Rick always talking about everything's about timing and there's not too many coincidences. So it's almost like she was part of this whole plan and puzzle.
Yeah. And
we actually when we do a song that we dedicate to her. It's like it's a remix of Tupac's song to his mother, and so during the show as well to pay homage.
Well, you two, I gotta tell you, my producer's here, sitting here, starting to cry. You guys, you're wonderful. You're wonderful to talk to. So many people in your position would have just figured, as you initially did, it's over, and I can't imagine how many lives you touch by what you do, and I want to thank you for that, and I want to again tell people, go see these guys. This obviously will be an extraordinary and special evening, free of charge, an evening of hip-hop music with a real positive vibe and a message. Four Wheel City, welcome to Reality Tour. Thank you two so much. My best.
For having us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My best to both of you. Thank you. Okay, that's Four Wheel City. Welcome to Reality Tour, August Wilson Center, a week from now. That's next Thursday. night, 7 p.m. They give a little bit of a speech, and they do a lot of music. And if you know of anybody, especially young people, who would benefit from hearing them, please spread the word. I'm putting this out there so that you guys will pick it up from here and spread the word even more. Whether somebody is in a wheelchair or has a disability and is feeling like it's all over, whether it's a young person sort of lost at the moment and or living in a neighborhood racked with crime, these are especially, I think, the people who would benefit from coming in touch with these two, Norris Ricardo Velasquez, known as Four Wheel City, the Welcome to Reality Tour. Again, free of charge next Thursday, 7 p.m., August Wilson Center. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll get on our usual track of, I don't know, breast beating, hair pulling, and finger pointing, okay? Stay with us.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for Jim Brewer, the Lebanese Food Festival, Roy Haynes, and Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania. On the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
The Pittsburgher Burger Competition and Music Festival benefiting the American Liver Foundation comes to the Rivers Casino on Saturday, September 29th from 1 to 7. See Pittsburgh's best restaurants compete for the title of Best Burger in the Burg. Sample and vote for your favorite burger while you listen to great Pittsburgh bands and enjoy ice-cold Amstel Light. For more information and to buy tickets, go to midnightguru.com. The Pittsburgher Burger Competition on Saturday, September 29th at the Rivers Casino. Get ready to get your burger on. Sponsored by Amstel Light and produced by Diane Rua Media. Gambling problem? Call 800-848-1880.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And at the end of the day, the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. So United Way is asking you to make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Be a reader, tutor, or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Take the pledge now at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Well, hello and welcome back. And of course, speaking of violence, insanity, there is a hostage situation going on right now here downtown, not specifically this building, but in Gateway Center 3, I believe, where there is a hostage situation, SWAT team deployed. The police, chief of police, Nate Harper, confirming that and also saying that they believe there might be 2 hostages involved. This is in a suite on the 16th floor of the building, which is the site of a pension fund. For whatever that might mean. And no one has been hurt. The team is in negotiations with the hostage taker, and the chief says we will talk as long as we have to talk. There's no reason to do anything but talk. And I can keep you up to date as I make myself up to date. That's about all that is known at this point. The pension fund is the C.W. Brightsman Pension Fund, office of IATSE, which is a union representing stagehands, theater stagehands. Police say the man claimed to have bombs and guns, but of course they don't know if there is any truth in that. The rest of the building has been evacuated. So that is as far as I can see what's going on at this point. Still talking. The police have told reporters that the longer the talking goes on, generally the better the outcome can be, as long as they are, in fact, talking. The hostage taker, they do know the identity of him. They say he's ex-military, and that's all we or anybody else has at this moment, at least that is. Also, obviously, that area, you should avoid it. Don't go down there and gawk. We've got a caller because, there's obviously a police situation going on there, and they don't need you. Yes, is there a caller there?
Hey, Lynn, it's Kristen Barriga. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you for giving people with disabilities a platform to show what they can do and show, the talents that they have.
You're welcome.
That means a lot to me. And that, while Republicans are, cutting funding for people who work with people with disabilities and transportation for people with disabilities, Democrats are now actually speaking out for people with disabilities, and you're giving people a great platform to show off their talent, and I think that's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do. Thank you.
And hey, I wanted to tell you, you know how I think it was last week you were mentioning that there's really something wrong with the thinking of the Republicans lately.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a therapist for a long time, and I've worked with a lot of teenagers with conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder, and the Republicans are starting to remind me of some really difficult clients I've
had. No doubt.
Yeah, and to actually bring in theory to back up what you said, they're actually there's externalizing thought problems that they're having, that the blaming others and minimizing and mislabeling and assuming the worst are all things that are seen in externalizing abnormalities, you know what I mean, that psychopaths have.
Well, all right. Let's not go too far. But no, I'm sure that it's true. There is. I've said there's something seriously wrong when rationality is shown the door, when facts don't matter, when delusion takes over, and this anger, this sort of directed hither and yon and God knows where. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of psychic turmoil behind a lot of their political stances, and you almost wish that you could pack them all into a therapist's room and work on them for a bit. Hey, I got to run, but I thank you so much. That's a great comment. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Kristen. Okay. Again, I'll keep updating you on this. Chief Harper has said the hostage taker's demeanor is, quote, relatively calm, and that obviously is good. They've shut down traffic all around there. So again, as I said, I don't think they need you. So stay away. Okay? I have to tell you about this thing that I went to last night. First of all, Tom Sokolowski suggested I go, and it was a benefit for the new Hazlett Theater on the north side near the Children's Museum. That was the original Carnegie Hall. That's the first one, and they renovated the place. It's a marvelous performance space, and they had a number of performers, and one of them was Tom Sokolowski. I got to tell you, he brought the house down. He was like the first thing out. He entered the stage. And I had him pegged immediately. He was in full historic drag. He was dressed as like a, I don't know, 1860 gorgeous gown and hair and like a beautiful, wealthy woman of a certain era in a French salon. And he was a riot. Actually, next time he's here, I got to get some makeup tips from him. He looked gorgeous. Looked a little like my Aunt Sophie. He was adorable. But this guy that I mentioned when leading into Four Wheel City, Daniel Bernard Romaine, DBR he's called. This guy, what he did with a violin, I have never seen the likes of it. I wanted to, do you know how when somebody is doing something that is so extraordinary, that is so mind-bogglingly fantastic and beautiful and inspiring, and you can't sit in your seat and you want to scream with joy and the wondrousness of human talent. I mean, I sometimes can't bear it. I feel like I can't stand the joy I feel. This guy, unbelievable. And he pointed out, I just want to say this again about Republicans. This was not a political night, but he pointed out, again, his life as a little Haitian kid, black kid, South Florida, little town, sent off to a public school. But this was at a time when a public school had music teachers. And he was lucky enough that he had this amazing music teacher, incredibly named Mr. Miller. And Mr. Miller put a violin in that little 5-year-old's hand and taught him the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, which is one of the most beautiful tunes in the universe. I can't hear it without starting to sob. And that little Haitian boy playing Hatikva, his life was changed. As were the lives of so many of the others, because this Mr. Miller had all the kids with music and with an orchestra. And he pointed out, DBR, last night, that a little 5-year-old kid now in South Florida going to a public school, he ain't going to have a violin put in his hand. There's not going to be any Mr. Miller changing his life, because music is extraneous. Music is not offered in schools that barely offer much of anything anymore because they're being squeezed to death by Republican policies, because Republicans don't like government schools. They think they're indoctrination centers. I believe Rick Santorum said that. They're being gutted. Money's being bled from them. And you realize what the public schools have meant for so many of us. You cannot have a viable democracy without a viable public school system. You cannot. And we are in great danger in this country of abandoning that ideal. And we're doing that because of the steady drumbeat from Republicans to do so. Starve the beast. They want to starve government. They want to starve government schools. And this is the bedrock of any democracy. It's where you learn as a young child that there are different kinds of people in the world. And not everybody lives in a house like yours, and not everybody worships like you do, and not everybody looks like you or has the same culture that you do. That's what a public school is supposed to do, as well as teach the 3 R's. So often, and I have said this till I'm blue in the face, the most important thing you get from a public education is what I've suggested. It's not the books. It's not the book learning. It's just not. It's getting a feel for what the world looks like, for what the world that you're going to have to navigate looks like. And when people self-segregate their children, I think they do them a disservice when they stick them in schools that will keep them in some kind of a bubble of all the same color, or a bubble of all the same religion, or a bubble of all the same socioeconomic background, or a bubble of, political, we all agree politically about everything. I think it's insane. Ah, well, okay. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I took a break, right? Yes, I did. Okay. I got to tell you, my favorite thing in the paper today is just a little item, although I did see something about it. I want to know more. This is one of those things where, tell me more. I want to know where. This is out of the United Arab Emirates. Did you hear the one about the Iranian cleric? Oh, wait. We got it. I am being interrupted by a caller.
Yes, you are. You're being interrupted by Michael from Palm Springs, because all I want is loving you and music.
Da-da-da-da, Nickelin in the Nickelodeon. Mm-hmm.
Yes, how are you today? I just wanted to call and apologize for the other day when you were talking about the death penalty, and I
bummed you out. No, that's okay.
You did not have to change the show. It's just that issue gets under my skin.
Yeah, well, it gets under my skin too, but that's why I brought it up, because I'm worried about the fact that I'm about to be complicit in first-degree murder.
Oh, yeah, and anybody who claims that they are a Christian and support the death penalty, when they go up before their beloved St. Peter, they're going to be asked, oh, you killed that person. Why?
Right. Why didn't you leave it to me? I thought I was the final judge.
Yeah. The hypocrisy is just so rampant in that field, and I just...
Okay, I understand that totally.
And hey, your hostage situation there?
Yeah.
I used to work in that building, believe me. I know that easy access. But at any rate, that is going to happen all over the place. And I fully understand where these people are coming from. There are going to be more people who are mad as hell.
Who go nuts, yeah.
Their pensions have been taken away.
Maybe. Well, let's not jump to the conclusion that that's what's happening here, because we don't know, but it could be.
That's true.
I mean, we know it's a pension fund. We know it was union-related, IATSE. I don't know. Let's just hope that this ends
peacefully,
yes,
calmly,
yes,
and with as few frayed nerves as possible.
Exactly right. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Peace be with you.
Okay.
Love you.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, here again is the latest that we know. The hostage taker is a black male, ex-military. He is described as relatively calm. Now they're saying he appears to be holding only one hostage. They do know his identity, but they're not releasing it to the media. And that's it. So everything is just sort of on hold. Police do not know if there is a relationship between the hostage taker and the hostage. A correction here, the Harper says that the other floors have not been evacuated. So that was incorrect, what I told you about the building. We're talking about 3 Gateway Center being evacuated as a result of the hostage situation. He says it is confined and contained to the 16th floor, and so that there is no reason to get everybody else out. Although I would think they might want to take the 15th and the 17th floors out. I don't know. Who made me a cop? Nobody. So, okay, back to the story. It's Dateline United Arab Emirates, but it's out of Iran, and God help this woman. This is what I want to know her, and I want to give her a hug. Some Iranian cleric has complained to the authorities, saying he was beaten up by a woman after warning her for being incorrectly covered while she was outside. So here you have a busybody cleric, Hajatollah Islam Ali Beheshti, who sees this woman on the street. She's minding her own business. He's not. Of course, he thinks every woman is his business. And he walked up to her and he told her, "Cover yourself." And she said to him, this is his account, she said to him, "You cover your eyes." This is my hero. This is my hero. I've never heard of a woman in this culture beset and besieged by some male who feels he has dominion over any woman and telling her to cover. Well, God knows what piece of flesh was showing on this woman. And cover yourself, you slut. And she says, "You cover your eyes." I love her. I'm worried about her, though. The guy says that he repeated his warning, telling her to cover up, and that she then insulted him and pushed him. Now, that's a little bit different than beating him up, I think. But for a woman to say, "You cover your eyes," that is like, that is so heroic. That's like Rosa Parks heroic. And God help her. God help her. You cover your eyes. God bless this woman. And keep her. Bless her and keep her. Oh. Chuck writes with some important information, and I thank him for it. And Chuck, now you are going to be interrupted by a caller. Hi, caller.
Hi, Lynn. Hey, I got a quick comment. You were talking about God and all this before. I certainly believe that if even a non-believer would get to heaven and he led a good life, I still think God would let him into heaven. If you don't believe. Because there's so many people that believe and they go to church, but they don't live a good life. So if you're not living a good life, what's the purpose of it?
Exactly. I cannot believe that anyone in their right mind would believe that a mass murderer who said, "I believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior," that guy's going to go to heaven. Because that's what they believe, right? A lot of people. Yeah, that's right. Right. So Charles Manson can get to heaven. But some saintly, wonderful Buddhist or the Dalai Lama, let's call him, he ain't going. He can't get into heaven because he doesn't claim Jesus as his Lord and Savior. Now, you tell me Charles Manson gets to heaven, but
Yeah,
the Dalai
I don't-
Lama doesn't? If you believe that, you're out of your cotton-picking mind.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Not to mention it means I can't get to heaven. Well, what could be more absurd than that? Okay, so as I was saying, Chuck writes with some important information. Rightfully so, he says the voter ID law is grabbing the headlines these days, but I would like to point out that the voter ID issue means nothing if you ain't registered to vote in the first place. Please remind your listeners that the deadline for registering to vote in the upcoming election is coming up pretty soon, October 9. It's only 2 weeks from Monday. And if you want some information about how to do that, and also if you want to confirm that your voter registration is as it coincides with whatever ID you're going to show so that you can cast your vote, you go to PA Voters Services. PA, there's a lot of S's there. So it's PA Voter. Oh, no, it's not. There's only the one S. PA Voter Services. One S. PA Voter Services .state.pa.us. Or just Google, how the hell do I register to vote in Pennsylvania? And you'll probably get there. Okay. I should actually confirm my registration, but I just refuse. I have been voting at the same place for 20 years. The same people have been sitting behind the desk there. I don't even give them my name when I come. They say, "Hi, Lynn," and they get my stuff out. If I have any trouble, I actually don't even want to show them the ID because it angers me. They know who I am. These SOB Republicans, I'm sorry. I can't take it much more. I can't. Oh, speaking of SOB Republicans, I'm sure you've seen Daryl Metcalfe's brilliant statement. This idiot, this nincompoop. How you guys in Cranberry feel happy to be represented by this person in the state capitol is beyond me. Listen to what he said about voter ID. As Mitt Romney said, 47% of the people are living off the public dole, living off their neighbor's hard work. And we have a lot of people out there that are too lazy to get up and get out there and get the ID they need. If individuals are too lazy, the state can't fix that. All right, there's Daryl Metcalfe doubling down and actually saying that half of Americans are living off the public dole, living off their neighbor's hard work. And as we know, maybe Daryl doesn't because Daryl probably can't read yet, that 47% includes his mother and his great aunt and people on Social Security. It includes all the soldiers that are fighting and dying right now. It includes students. It includes people who are working 3 and 4 jobs with no benefits, who still don't earn enough to have to pay income tax. But oh man, they pay plenty of other taxes. They pay for Social Security. They pay for... the stupidity and the meanness of a Daryl Metcalfe who is representative of a huge, huge percentage of people who vote Republican. It's as simple as that, isn't it? He's representative. That brings me to Paul Krugman today. If you'll allow me. He points out that the reality is, and this 47% thing clearly shows it, and I've never seen it laid out so clearly. The reality is that the Republican Party has been taken over by people who really don't like the worker. They don't respect the worker. They only respect the boss. And that's true. He says it this way. The Republican Party just doesn't have much respect for people who work for other people. All of the party's respect and affection is reserved for job creators, also known as bosses, employers. Those are the only people they think are worthy. They're the only people whose work they recognize. And then he says, you think I'm exaggerating? Okay, let's just consider the tweet sent out by the Republican House Majority Leader, the vile Eric Cantor, on Labor Day. Okay? Labor Day, a holiday that what? Celebrates the worker. And here's what Eric Cantor's tweet said on Labor Day. Today, we celebrate those who have taken a risk, worked hard, built a business, and earned their own success. That was his tweet. Who's he talking about there? He's talking about the bosses. He's not talking about the worker. And then when Romney, as Krugman points out, waxed rhapsodically about the opportunities Americans offered to immigrants, this is what he said, that the immigrants came in pursuit of freedom to build a business. Well, I always thought they came, many maybe had a dream of starting a business. My own grandfather did that. But millions upon millions of others came for the freedom to work. Work. Engage in work for a fair wage. Krugman. There is a widespread belief on the right that taxes on working Americans are too low. In fact, the Wall Street Journal described low-income workers whose wages fall below the income tax threshold as lucky duckies. Think about that. So for the aforementioned person scrambling around, cobbling together 3 and 4 jobs with no benefits, working their tails off, and still not making enough to even qualify to pay federal taxes, the Wall Street Journal calls that person a lucky ducky. You don't know whether to scream or just go insane. What really needs cutting, the Republicans believe, are taxes on rich people, on corporate profits, on capital gains, all the way rich people get their money. Dividends. Taxes that fall on investors and executives, not ordinary workers, because they have contempt for ordinary workers like me, like Jess, like most of the people I know. Where does this disdain come from? Well, I would go no further than looking at Paul Ryan's love for Ayn Rand, whatever the hell her name is, that hateful woman. Because her vision is, a handful of heroic businessmen are responsible for all economic growth and all economic good. And the rest of us, we're just a bunch of moochers. That's her idea, and it's fully embraced by this Republican Party. The 47% remark, indicative of it. The Republicans really believe that the working people are a bunch of parasites and that they are the only ones worthy of respect, deference, and, in fact, low taxes. Krugman points out and ends thusly. In the past, though, even Republican politicians who privately shared this elitist contempt for the masses knew enough to keep it to themselves and managed to fake some appreciation for the ordinary worker. At this point, however, the party's contempt for the working class is so complete that it is simply too pervasive to hide anymore. So what we see with Romney's off-the-cuff remark, Daryl Metcalfe's off-the-cuff remark, and so many of the others is that the Republican attitudes are quite clear, unequivocal. They are a party of the wealthy, by the wealthy, for the wealthy, a party that considers the rest of us unworthy of even the pretense now of respect. We'll take a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
BergBargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, the City Theater, History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. This week, get 40% off gift cards to the Harris Grill and Shadyside. BergBargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. BergBargains.com.
All right, so that same Tom Sokolowski was dressed in drag last night, looking so gorgeous over at the new Hazlett Theater on the north side. As you know, I guess tomorrow we'll finish up his training to become a tutor at the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council. He's a good man. You, too, can join him and other good people. You know, the people Republicans look down their noses at, because you are going to go and actually help people. Well, maybe the Republicans don't mind because you're doing it on a volunteer basis and the government is not involved. The Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council does want and need volunteers because they do one-on-one counseling. And they've got people on waiting lists now. So there's not enough people like Tom who are stepping up and saying, I'll do it. If you want to do it, here's the phone number to call, 412-393-7600, 393-7600. And, of course, you can check it all out on the web and get your information at GPLC, Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council.org.
Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okie doke. You know, I'm a little nervous because, like, all the polls are showing Obama ahead, Obama ahead, Obama ahead. I just saw one of all these battleground states, and there was only one, North Carolina, in which he wasn't ahead. He was ahead in Virginia, Iowa, Colorado, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, blah, 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 looking like a landslide. Don't think it. Don't think it for a minute. Because that kind of complacency, thinking that yields complacency, which yields low voter turnout, which is exactly what Republicans want, which is why they're coming up with all these draconian voter ID laws, trying desperately to win this election by simply suppressing the voters. Man. Despicable. I'm sorry. Shameless. These are all adjectives I have used over and over again, and they're getting ragged because I've been using them so much. But frankly, they are apt. But I want to point out one thing that I have noted in regard to the polls. A lot of these polls, by the way, they're not calling cell phones. Well, do you know there's a huge percentage of Americans now who don't even have a landline? Roughly 1/3 of American households, 1/3, rely solely on a mobile phone. Okay, so that's a whole third of them. And by the way, who would those people be? Generally younger, right? And maybe poorer. Younger, poorer, whatever. Guess who they vote for? Democrats. So if there's an undercount in these polls, it's an undercount of probable Democratic voters. And I have seen some articles pointing out that when a poll does put cell phones in, they're not just calling landlines, they're calling cell phones, Obama's numbers go way, way up. I hesitate to say that because, again, we have to guard against complacency, and which would lead to low voter turnout. I just want to quickly find any new information on the hostage situation at 3 Gateway Center. As far as we know, one person being held hostage by one man. He is negotiating with the police. The police have brought his mother to the scene, usually a good sign. You know, listen to your mother. And CNN is now on this story. But again, we're still in the good stage of nobody's been hurt. The hostage taker's said to be calm and talking, and his mommy's there. Okay? This all sounds hopeful. I thank you all for joining me today, and I'm saying toodaloo to you and taking the weekend off. Hope you can have some nice time off as well, and I'll be back Monday. Have a great weekend.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.